Well, hello there, and welcome to this sixth Master Show where I help people just like you on the journey to live your ideal. My name is Anton Bennink, and as a Proctor consultant, I now say the words that Bob Proctor said so often. If you can tell us what you want, we can show you how to get it. And then you think, wow, what is that kind of sexy statement? No, but it is not just a sexy statement. The reason that we say that is because that we know deciding what you want is an intellectual exercise. But realizing and achieving what it is that you truly want is a lawful process. The same laws that turn the seed of a carrot into a carrot are the same laws that turn the idea of your worthy ideal into physical reality. And what is an ideal? An ideal, James Allen told us, is an idea that you've fallen in love with. And one of these things that is important to realize is that we have to unlock success. And unlocking success in this episode today, I'm going to talk about with the things that we did not learn in school. Because for success in life, for success in business, for success in your financial well being, for success in your health, for success in your relationships, most of that we do not learn in school. And it is those things that are actually essential for us, for people just like you and I, to live a happy life, a fulfilled life. Alive in a state of peace, alive in a state of serenity, just being grateful for being. So many people feel sad, so many people feel depressed, so many people feel burned out, so many people are continuously in an angry state of being. And these states of being, they don't help us forward. So we have to teach ourselves those things that are not taught in school to be able to create the life of our dreams, to be able to create our worthy ideal. And let's dive into the things that the school didn't teach us. And first of all, really important, in school we are taught, learn this, read this book, and based upon that we get a test. Then once we do the test, we get a certain mark. And we are basically taught that the mark that we got on the test is going to be our level of education, is going to be our level of performance. But in essence, that's not really true. In essence, our level of performance that mark exemplifies is just a little look at a moment in time, probably a couple of weeks ago. In essence, that doesn't say anything about where we are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually today. From the one to the other day, results can improve, can change, can worsen dramatically. But as long as we focus on the results that we've created in the past, what happens? We continue to create the results that we have experienced in the past. Because we look at those results and we identify ourselves with those results. Some students identify themselves with straight A's, and other students identify themselves with straight C's. That is just the way it is. That is not something, that is something we can change. You might think, but that is the mark that I got because that is how good I am in mathematics. But that's not true. You were that good in mathematics for that tiny period of time, that many weeks ago. And that is what the mark is. But we look at the mark as if it tells us where we are at today. And this is what we call at the Proctor Gallagher Institute the report card syndrome. And later in life, this moves on to becoming the sales sheet syndrome, the bank account syndrome, where we look at our debt or where we look at our bank account and we see the results of a moment in time of basically the actions that we've took in the past, and that creates the results where it is now. And then we identify ourselves with those results and we continue to create those results into our lives. This is something essential that we don't learn in school. In essence, we learn the opposite in school. We learn, you get a D. So now you're a D kind of student in French. Or you get a C, and now you're a C kind of student in mathematics. And we start to identify with it, and we continue that all throughout our lives. You're an average sales producer. So, on average, just like all other average sales producers, you write one sale a week. That is not the way that it has to remain. That is the way that you've been programmed to perform right now. And you identify yourself with the way that you're performing right now. If you want to improve better, if you want to perform better, you have to improve the image of the performer that you identify with. So you don't identify with the results that you've created, say, today, based upon the actions that you've taken a couple of weeks ago, but you identify yourself with the reality of you and your goals. Like, you fuse with your goal and you see yourself internally and externally as being the performer that is in harmony with the results that you create. And that is something that Bob Proctor has been teaching all throughout his career. And we as Proctor Gallagher consultants, we continue this, and we help people all over the world improve the quality of their lives by improving the quality of their individual thoughts, because everything starts with our thinking process. Earl Nightingale stated so simply and so beautifully in The Strangest Secret: you become what you think about all day long. What are you thinking about all day long? Are you worrying, or are you thinking about continuously about maybe the credit card debt that you have to pay back, or the ulcers in your stomach, or the relationship that's not going so well? What are you thinking about most of your day? And that is what you subconsciously identify with that reality. Your subconscious mind identifies with that reality and sees it as truth. And because your subconscious mind sees that reality as truth, it is going to continue to create that reality as truth in your life. And what we don't learn in school is, how do we change that? How do we improve our results? Like, our teachers tell us, just study harder. But that doesn't get us to improve the quality of our results permanently. Maybe we get bad grades and we get punished. And because of the punishment, we have to stay over in school, and our parents get on our backs about studying, and we force ourselves to study more. What happens is the results shoot up. But it was through brute force. The results shot up because we were forced to do something. And what do they say? What do people say about force? Force negates. So very quickly after the pressure of the teachers, the pressure of the parents have fallen away, we go back to our state of being that we identify with. And going back to the state of being that we identify with basically means that we go back to identifying with who we were in the past. And we fall back, the results that shot up dramatically because we were forced to study, fall back down in the same speed, often even faster. I was speaking with my one of my sports coaches quite recently, and he said like what we build up in 6 weeks, we lose in two, in strength, in vitality, in fitness. So when we go to the gym, like once you are forcing yourself to get to a certain weight by going on a diet and starting to work out and like forcing yourself to get there, what happens is that you very relatively quickly get the results that you want to get. But once you got the results that you want to get, because like you don't feel like forcing the results anymore, you fall back. And like it is search and you shall find, the great book says. So a lot of people, they say I want to lose weight, and then they go on a journey and they go on a diet and they start to work out and they start to lose weight. And after they've lost their weight, what happens when you lose something? You go out and searching for it. Often they get the weight back, and sometimes often even more than they had in the past, and then before they started the diet. So why is this? And this is one of these really important things that they don't teach us in school. This is called our cybernetic mechanism. The best book that like I've ever read that's been written on this subject is a book by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and he wrote a book called Psycho Cybernetics. And then psyche is for the mind, and cybernetics is the mechanism that you can find in some machines and in human beings that keep it on course. You know, like guided missiles or like an airplane or a thermostat. And let's take the airplane as an example. Once it takes off, say from Paris to San Francisco, and it takes off and it starts to fly, and as soon as it is in the air, the pilot activates the automatic pilot. The automatic pilot in an airplane, autopilot, is a cybernetic mechanism. The moment there is a little bit of turbulence or wind, or and the airplane goes off course, it is the cybernetic mechanism that is programmed to on the map to San Francisco. And because it is programmed there, the autopilot, aka the cybernetic mechanism, brings it right back on course, and it brings it to San Francisco. We have a self image located in our subconscious mind. We have an internal self image and we've got an external self image. And this self image that is located in our subconscious mind is also a cybernetic mechanism. So, this means that when we were, say, I've been talking about as an example, a student, say we were a D student. Our self image is that of an image of a D type student. So once we force ourselves, or we are being forced to study, to stay late in school, to do things that we not naturally out of ourselves would do, our results shoot up. So just like the airplane, we go off course a little bit based upon what our normal point of direction is. And our cybernetic mechanism, in this case, not the autopilot, but our self image, which is our internal autopilot, brings us right back on course. So that at the end of the year, we average out as a D student. So once we realize this cybernetic mechanism, that this is part of our being, that this is part of our programming, so this governs our life, instead of it using us to keep us stuck in the results, that we are stuck in currently, we can start to use it for us. I love that when Tony Robbins says that, like, life is what if life is not happening to you? What if life is happening for you? What if you cannot let this autopilot not govern your life? What if you can use this autopilot to create your worthy ideal, to create your worthy goal, and live that in physical reality? And to be able to do that, we simply have to reprogram our self-image. So we have to build the image of the person. Let's take the student again, that becomes an A type student or a B type student, whatever kind of student you want to be. And the way that you do that is by seeing yourself with the results that you really want. And you do that over and over and over again. And like that, you also activate the law of attraction. You activate, and that is by so many people misunderstood. People think, oh, law of attraction, if I think about something, it will automatically come to me. That's not how it works. That's part of how it works. But people misunderstand because it is based upon another natural law of the universe. The law of attraction is actually a secondary law. And the law of it is based upon the primary law of this universe, the law of vibration. Everything moves, everything vibrates. You and I are constantly moving into one direction or another. We're continuously moving towards our goals or moving away from our goals. We are continuously growing or we are slowly dying. If we stop growing our mind, if we stop growing our emotional state of being, if we stop growing our physical state of being, we start dying. It's just the way of nature. Either you grow or you die. Look at the plant, look at the tree, look at an animal. It grows in strengths, it grows in size, it grows in capabilities, or it starts to decay, create or disintegrate. It's a law of the universe. And once we start to reprogram our self-image to become, to see ourselves as the person, as the human being, as that awesome being with infinite potential that has and lives already with the results that he or she wants. I remember from the You Were Born Rich original seminar, like you can find it on YouTube as well, from Bob Proctor and John Canary, and where John Canary, he brought up one of these kids on the stage, and he was like, and by coincidence, his name was Mark. And he was like, Mark, what mark do you have on French, Mark? So, and he started to talk and he had a chat with him, and it was, all right, I have a D. And what do you want, Mark? I want an A. And so he eventually gave the advice, and Mark became an A kind of student like this. He gave the advice really simply: start or go to school with your mother and ask the teachers for an empty report card. And on that empty report card, you visualize, you put the figures, you put the marks that you want to see at the end of the school year. And you hang it above your bed or next to your bed, and you look at it and you see yourself with those results in the physical world as well. And through that, he became a student that was worthy of those figures. By seeing those marks, slowly the ideas start to percolate in the conscious mind of, all right, what would I have to do to gain, to create those results? And after you answer the question for yourself, am I able to do it? And you're able to say, yes, I definitely am able, because I realize that I have infinite potential. all scientists and all theologians could tell you that they've got no clue how far your potential reaches. So, yes, I can. And then you pose yourself the question, am I willing? And then when you say, okay, yes, I'm willing because I really want to create those results, you become emotionally involved with it. And once you become emotionally involved with those new results, like your self image starts to alter. You start to see yourself as a human being who performs the habits who are necessary to create the results that you want to create. And then we've got a changed self image. So we've got a changed autopilot. The autopilot setting is set now onto the direction of our worthy ideal. And that is basically what we want to realize and what we want to create for ourselves. And then once we've realized that, we create a new worthy ideal. And like that, keep creating goals. I believe in school also we're not taught enough how important it is to have proper goals in different areas of your life. Because if you don't have a goal, you're basically lost. And I strongly believe that that is where a lot of um, people who are burned out, or people who are depressed, or people with anxiety, or where a lot of the different struggles in this life come from. Um, that we basically are lost in ourselves, lost in our lives. Why am I here? What am I doing? And especially those people who are, one, posing those questions, and two, spending most of their days going to a job which they don't really like, living in a house which they didn't really choose to live but couldn't afford, or believed they couldn't afford another or a better place to live, not going on a holiday, kind of holiday styles that they want to go on holiday with, not driving the car that they want to drive, not feeling the peace inside of themselves that they want to feel. And all of that starts to accumulate, and you don't know how to fix it. And when you don't know how to fix it, you get worry and doubt, and you get fear, and you get anxiety, and then you become depressed. Depression is actually anger turned inwards. So the importance of goals. And Tony Robbins, like he spoke about this during COVID, where so many people all of a sudden did not have a compelling future anymore, a worthy ideal towards which they were shooting towards which they're moving towards. If you don't have anything that you're moving towards in your life, you're lost. And if you're lost, you get all those feelings. And that is why there were so many more suicides and depressions and burnouts and people struggling through COVID. All of a sudden, everybody who had, or a lot of people who had a compelling future, like I'm going on holiday or I'm going to be doing that next year, all of that fell away. There was no compelling future anymore. We had to do it with the day itself. And what you do when all of that falls away and you get that feeling of being lost and you're not spending your time doing the things that you enjoy to do, life's just no fun no more. And that is why it is essential to continue to set goals in your life and to understand how to set goals and what the right kind of goals are. And we teach the A, Type B, Type C kind of goals at the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and how to set goals and how to achieve goals. It's a lawful process once you've identified what it is that you really want. So you've got the goal setting, and how do you manage your finances? How many people? It's absolutely absurd. Um, how many people graduate from university or with a doctorate, with like a PhD in finance or economics, and they're broke? How can you study for like a decade on how the financial markets work and you don't know how to manage your own money? That's typical in our general schooling system. And I'm not saying everything is wrong. There's a lot of things that are right about it as well. But how much more could we grow as human beings if those different things were put into the schooling system? And because it's not, it's up to you and it's up to me to develop ourselves in those areas in our lives. For me, that journey started when I was about 20 years of age. When I turned 20 and I got a challenge in my life where I wanted to be with somebody back then that was 16,000 kilometers away from where I was, I started to think. And through thinking, I came into contact with entrepreneurship. I came into contact with the personal and professional development industry, that world where people step into that are inspired to continuously work on drawing the best outside of themselves. And then we've got goals, and that is essential. Then, like, how do I manage money? Then how do I get healthy? How do I sort this machine out? Like, we live in this world where all the knowledge is at our fingertips. And through ChatGPT, it's even organized knowledge nowadays. Like Napoleon Hill, he wrote 120 years ago or so, he wrote an entire chapter on specialized knowledge. And that specialized knowledge back then was hard to come by. For us now, it is at our fingertips, but so few people use it in an effective and efficient way. And at the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and through my material that I use as a Proctor Gallagher consultant, I organize all of that knowledge in such a way that we can take a jump instead of incremental progress. Help people make quantum leaps forward, quantum leaps from here into a worthy ideal to where you really want your life to be. Because it is often just fear holding us back and not knowing holding us back, where we must replace the not knowing with and the fear with faith. And faith is, it's, I think it is Clarence Smithson who put it like that. Faith is our ability to see the invisible, to believe in the incredible. And that gives us the ability to create what most people would think of as impossible. So, how to recognize and develop faith in yourself. And maybe most essential, it's the two core skills that I believe we should all learn. Like, we're all ignorant about many different things. I got no clue how to bake a cake, or tune up a car. And I got that from Bob Proctor, and he had the same. But I have that too. I also have no idea how to bake a cake or how to tune up a car. And I don't necessarily want to know either. I'm okay being ignorant about those subjects. But two of the core subjects that aren't taught in school are: how does your mind work? And what are the natural laws of this universe? And the workings of your mind, by controlling the flow of thought energy, you can influence it. You can practice influence on your mind. And by influencing your mind, you influence the state your body is in. And the state your body is in influences the habitual behavior that your body and your thinking and your feeling process is involved with. And your thoughts, feelings, and actions that you're involved with eventually create the results in your life. And then we've got the natural laws of this universe that so many people, without even knowing, are using against themselves. There's a season of sowing and there's a season of reaping, but they don't happen in the same season. and the ceasing of sowing is about all the time. That's something to think about, isn't it? But this is just part of these natural laws of this universe. You have the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. You have the law of gender. You have the law of cause and effect, of which Ralph Waldo Emerson already said is the law of laws. Well, I don't necessarily know if that's true, but it's definitely a natural law of this universe. In the East, it's often referred to as the law of karma. Then you've got the law of opposites. Then you've got the law of relativity. Do you know how all these laws operate and function in your life? And once you really start to understand that, it is where you can get in harmony with these laws and learn to live your ideal life by stepping into the flow of harmonious creation and being in resonance, a feeling of love with the good that you desire. And like that, it becomes physical reality. This is something that I want to share with you today. A couple of things that we don't learn in school that we should actually dedicate our entire lives to develop ourselves in, to become more consciously aware of. And if you are interested in continuously developing these skills that were not taught in school, but that are essential to all areas of success in your life, from health to wealth to relationships to a state of serenity in your peace of mind. Please visit the website by clicking on the link below or just reach out and we'll have a look on how we might be of service to you. We've got all different types of developmental steps that you can take from low barrier to somewhat higher barrier to make progress in lives. And you might have heard it, progress equals happiness. When we move forward in something, it is exhilarating to know that you're moving forwards to living your worthy ideal. So, if you can tell us what you want, we can show you how to get it. Click on the link below, and there you can find out how. Have a great day, and I wish you a week with love, with pleasure, and great success.